welcome to Widnes Rugby Chat Episode 10, one with a bit of a difference this week. We're at the stadium. We're here to meet Louise Goodall, who's organised a Widnes supporters open meeting on Thursday at Parklands. I sat down with her just to chat to see what people can expect from there and what her aims are for the Supporters Trust. So I'm here with Louise. Louise, we've got a Widnes supporters meeting, open meeting on Thursday night at Parklands. Can you just tell us a bit more about that and what's planned?
Right, basically, we're trying to get all the different. At the minute, we find there's a lot of different Widnes groups. You've got Vicky, you've got Lady Vikings, you've got Alan Ray's Supporters Club. Jeannie's bus, for example, as well, and we just want to try and get everybody together under the same umbrella, because we think that now is a perfect opportunity with new season, starting a new challenge in the championship, new owners on the horizon, new CEO as well eventually, and we just think it's a perfect opportunity to sort of like come together as a supporters group, one uniform supporters group, to actually approach whoever is in charge of the club eventually, and get that dialogue and engage with the club, which we've actually lacked in the last probably 2 to 3 years, really, with the current regime that was here.
Yeah, I mean, is that what you see the objective of a supporters group being, just improving that relationship? There's no, I know previous groups have struggled because they've almost like demanded places on the board and stuff like that, and that's always broken things down.
No, I think that's initially that's what we were aiming for, is just to have that sort of engagement and to try and improve the situation, open dialogue between supporters and the club, and try and get them to hear our voice really a little bit. I suppose overall, long term, it would be nice to have some kind of stake within the club. And I know from a supporters trust point of view, that's what the whole objective would be. But at the minute, I don't think we're in that position to even try and demand that. I think we just want to be able to show that we are united, we are professional, and we're not some militant group that's like sort of like banging on the door saying this is our club. But you've got to sort of listen to us as well, because I think half the problems that we've had over the last 2 to 3 years is the fact that we haven't been listened to, and we've been told what we've got to do. We've been told this is what's expected of us, and it's like, and the blame to a certain extent has been placed at the supporters' door, when really it's the people that have been running the club. And it's that lack of communication that's really infuriated a lot of people, and a lot of people have turned away from it because of that. Yeah. We want to get those people back in. We want to try and get the club better, improve the situation, and basically take a little bit of ownership, but not straight away. Initially, it's just all about sort of opening communication channels.
Because certainly, going back just over 10 years ago when the club went into administration, there was the supporters groups were a lot more organised, a lot more structured, and of course I think there was a lot of money raised at one point, to potentially help save the club before, the current regime bought it. Has that been... I guess you're right, and I completely agree with you that the supporters groups have sort of been marginalised quite a lot over the last 10 years, and I think the club, whoever might own the club or whatever the club might be, shouldn't underestimate the power that the supporters have in terms of even even things like fundraising. And I know people have mentioned the sort of like the end of the season dinners and the Christmas do's and stuff like that, and I guess that's something that you hope that uniting all the supporters again.
We're hoping to sort of reignite that kind of that passion again, really,
Because I suppose we're all, as much as we may all have different opinions, we've all got a common denominator is that we support Widnes
Football Club, and basically that's the lifeblood of this particular area, and without Widnes wouldn't be known without this rugby club, and I think whoever does take on the club need to be aware that they're custodians. It's a community club. And they need to sort of be aware that you've got to engage with the town and the people, and it's not just Widnes, it's Runcorn as well, because there's quite a lot of fans obviously that live over in Runcorn. It's a Holton thing, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way. But I think you need to sort of like look at it and say, do you know what? Yeah, this, we've been through a really, really rough time the last 2 or 3 years. Let's draw a line on underneath it, start again, and try and improve the situation. Really.
Have you spoken to any other of the groups you mentioned? Lady Vikings and
we had an informal meeting a few weeks ago, just before Christmas, and that was to. Liz held that, really. It was just to sort out the finances of the Widnes Independent Supporters Society. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, we'll call it Whistle from now on.
Yeah, it's easier to say, isn't it? And that was just to ratify the finances, because the previous trustees had unfortunately passed away. So it was just more of a legal issue. We actually invited a number of people who were interested to sort of like do that. We've got quite a lot of positive feedback. Claire Hollands from Lady Viking, she turned up. We had a dialogue with, it wasn't Alan Ray, but it was a girl off Alan Ray's bus. I couldn't tell you her name now, I'm so sorry, but Liz knows who she is. And we're just sort of like trying to sort of like, engage with those kind of people. Over the years, I've made lots of contacts within the supporters community, really. And if you see my Facebook page, it's constantly about Widnes and the coach that I run, which is Vikings Away.
Yeah, I've seen you on Widnes Past and Present, actually, asking about the Hull KR game last week.
I think we're the only ones that are going to Hull KR on Sunday.
Well, Featherstone.
Well, it's Featherstone, but we're the only ones I think that we're going. But yeah, at the minute. So that's, it's just something that I do. But through that, I do know quite a substantial amount of people. Hopefully, we'll get a fair amount there on Thursday. I'm going to push it again probably tonight and tomorrow night on Facebook and Twitter, and see if we can get a few people there.
So one of the things, of course, that we should mention, and I sort of half had an involvement in Trusting Widnes in the past, is that this is a new thing, isn't it? It's not Trusting Widnes. You're just using we're calling it Whistle because that's the official name for it, or the official abbreviation. But the reason why you're doing it under that banner is because they've already done all of the...
They've done all the groundwork
all the compliance, all the administration,
the constitution and everything else.
Which would take so much time if you were to do it from scratch.
If we were to do it from scratch, it would just basically take forever, and we wouldn't be up and running until probably the middle of next year. And I just feel that if they've got that foundation, they've got that infrastructure, why not use it? I know some people are quite apprehensive because Whistle is kind of tagged along with Trusting Widnes, and I know from what I've been told, because I wasn't involved in the early in those days, but the club itself, as in Steve O'Connor and James Rule, pretty much sort of close the door on Trusting Widnes, sort of thing.
But then you could say that they've done the same pretty much with everybody.
So we're trying to. I'm not saying we're not stepping away from Trusting Widnes, but we're trying to give ourselves a little bit of a distance.
Almost like drawing a line in the sand sort of thing.
Yeah, and we're starting again. As I say, we've got the foundation, we've got the constitution. We need now is a committee, which is what this meeting on Thursday is about, really, is to sort of like, we're looking for volunteers really to come forward who feel that they've got the skills to basically build that committee and to take us forward, because then we can then approach the new owners, new CEO, and say, look, we are organised, this is what we are, this is our chair, this is our treasurer, this is our secretary, etc. And try and show that we are organised, really. Yeah.
And do you think there is the potential for a supporters group to fundraise for the club? I guess that will be the main priority. Well, I know sort of Trusting Widnes sort of, well, partly because they got marginalised, I guess Trusting Widnes went in another direction where helping the community more. Do you see the new group primarily fundraising to contribute to the club like other maybe teams do? Like I know clubs have squad builders and stuff like that. Like Salford's a good example.
Yeah, exactly. Salford, Swinton is another example. We're in contact with Spelly from Swinton, who give us some good ideas. And I think it's something we definitely can't rule out. I think the reason why in the past we've kind of stepped away from that kind of aspect was because every now and again James Rule came round with his begging bowl, and he wouldn't speak to you unless you had money. And that's the long and short of it, unfortunately. But he wouldn't listen to you. He was like, well, what can you give us? hopefully,
and sponsors have, from sponsors I spoke to, they've been exactly the same, had the same opinion.
Yeah. So we're hoping that with the new regime, whenever it comes in, that they'll be a bit more open to some ideas. And if they did need some help fundraising, I'm pretty sure as a community, a supporters community, my God, I used to send back in the day, 1995, when we were going bankrupt, when this place was literally falling to bits, going around selling raffle tickets door to door, as a kid, you know what I mean? So we've done it.
And that's the thing, there's been very little of that, hasn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a lot of statements saying, supporters need to buy tickets or they need to bring a friend, but there are other ways that supporters can help generate money, and that's sort of been lost, I guess, over the past 5 to 10 years.
And a lot of people have got lots of ideas about incentives that can actually entice more people to come through the gates. As you say, bring a friend, adult pay full price, child free. It's all been in the past kind of sort of brush under the carpet a little bit. It's like, no, not doing that. And the situation, that's probably why we didn't get the attendances that we really needed.
How difficult do you think it will be to get people back? Because obviously there's a lot of supporters, and I know people, even people in my family, that have lapsed their support because of what's happened over the past couple of years. Widnes, Runcorn, Halton, whatever you want to call it, it's not a massive place. There's not an infinite number of people. Do you think people have been sort of alienated too many times now, and that they're going to be reluctant to come back?
I'm hoping with a new board, a new CEO, more sort of supporter community-based activities, maybe a winning side would help as well. People
should win more games next season.
We should, hopefully, fingers crossed. People start thinking, oh, hang on, it's changing a little bit, and people get that little spark back a little bit as well. And hopefully, fingers crossed, if we get back into Super League next season, it might just give people the incentive to come back. Yeah,
because we've seen with teams like Hull KR's a good example, where when they got relegated, they really mobilised their fan base, and their average attendances were really good in the Championship, and obviously that's helped them kick on in Super League. Whereas for Widnes, it's felt like it's been going. It's
gradually deteriorated because the fan base has been gradually alienated bit by bit, year by year. The Northwest Corner was a perfect example. Over like the series of 2 to 3 years, that's non-existent now because of.
And the flags used to look amazing on Sky and stuff, and that used to be brilliant.
Exactly. Yeah. And it did used to generate some kind of an atmosphere. Okay, don't get me wrong, you had a minority of idiots that were throwing ale, etc. You know what I mean? But that was like our little part. I mean, I'm in a bit of a cop sort of situation, really. And maybe, hopefully, possibly, that's something we can actually discuss with the new owners and the council, because I think the council had an involvement with that situation, and say, if we can police it in a better way, why can't we start that again? Improve the atmosphere, bring more kids along, and see where we go from there. Yeah,
I mean, obviously one of the issues with the club in general, whoever takes it over, is of course we're always I know from my line of work is it's difficult to bring in revenue to a sports club, and it's very difficult to sustain it, and of course Widnes has generally been relatively sustainable under the current regime. Is there a worry that now that regime's almost been forced out, if you like, a little bit, is there a bit more pressure now on the club to generate revenue, the fans to get behind it a bit more, because it's like, well, they were running it sustainably, they've sort of been pushed out a little bit, and now it's like, well, you don't want to go bust.
No, I don't think we need a sugar daddy, do we? You know what I mean? It'd be nice if somebody come in and just bankroll the whole situation, but I don't think that is actually the answer.
Well, I agree. I mean, I completely agree. Like Salford, there's no point, because the money runs out at some point.
And then you get people sort of walking away, and you're in a worse situation. You end up like Bradford, then, don't you? Yeah. No, I think, as I say, it's a community club, so I think I think that's the key point, really.
Yeah, you need everyone who lives in the town to want to be part of the club and breathe. This is a good way of socialising and meeting people. I know plenty of people from watching Widnes, and
And it's things like back in the day, we used to have fun days on the car park and things like that, face painting, just to engage families, etc. And then, that never went any further. And then they tried to develop the family stand in the south stand, which
majority
of people sit in the north stand. But they're the little things that have gone wrong that hopefully, we think, with a bit of luck, we could actually point the new owners in the right direction and say that these things work.
And it's not necessarily, like you say, it's not necessarily there's not one big plaster. It's like there's a lot of little things that you could improve that they might sound insignificant, but, ultimately, they all add up to a bigger picture.
Yeah, they all make, a better run family environment, and you're going to get more people. I mean, they had the school kids incentive where they was going out giving kids the free tickets in the schools. Something like that again would be brilliant, because if one of the kids go to, Mum, I've got a free ticket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I must admit, I
got back into it.
I didn't with rugby, but certainly with ice hockey randomly. When I was a kid in the 90s and ice hockey was big, and I got a free ticket to the ice hockey, went a few times, and then when I was an adult, started paying to go. So, and I don't care about ice hockey particularly, but I care for it.
What they've done this season with the season tickets has been a fantastic idea as well, with an adult paying and you get your free juniors, which is to be fair, it's a decent idea.
Well, I think back in it, like I say, back when we were in Super League first time, I was 14, 15 or something, and the season ticket was like £35, and you got every game home and away. It's like, well, that's brilliant, because you go, your dad's more likely to take you to the away game if he knows he doesn't have to pay tenner for you to get in.
Exactly.
It's all the stuff. So just finish you off. If fans are just learning about the open meeting on Thursday night, 7 o'clock at Parklands, if people are only just hearing about it now, or they were maybe unsure about coming, why should they come?
Basically to have a voice in your club, really, and if you've got any, we were just making it as open as possible to sort of like engage everybody in that group, and sort of like, if you feel that you've got any skills that we could utilise, we're going to need a lot of people with different skill sets, so we're looking at restarting the committee, so we're going to need a chairperson, treasurer, secretary. We're looking at somebody who's very good at social media. We're going to need another committee members as well that have got any bit. I'm not asking to commit full time, obviously. It's not going to take, and we've all got busy lives. One of the reasons why this has been back on the back burner, because we tried to get this going in June. Unfortunately, it was the wrong timing. I was trying to sort it out on my own, if I'm perfectly honest. Liz approached me and suggested that maybe we revitalise Whistle, and then unfortunately I had a family bereavement, and then Liz got sick, and it just fell away. And then we all fell out of love with Widnes because we got relegated, and everybody was well miffed anyway. But now we just feel like we've got that optimism again. So if anybody's got any sort of time and skills that you think you can actually, or any just to support.
I was just going to say, you don't have to be part of the committee. No, you can come along and give your ideas, give your opinion, and help shape it.
And give us some, because it's going to take more than just 4 or 5 people. You'd be looking, we need a few hundred people to sort of like, we need a bigger membership.
You need basically all the fans to get united, basically, because, as much as we all have different opinions, and I know you mentioned the forum briefly before, I know that some people don't like the forum because people have got different opinions to theirs, but ultimately, like I say, we've all got a common, we've all got one thing in common, regardless of what our opinion is, and that's what we all support Widnes, and that's what we want best for the club. And it's like, if we can all unite, we're a lot more powerful together than not.
Absolutely. And I think we've got to re-emphasise that to whoever takes over the club, is that they just don't ignore us. You know what I mean? There were a couple of occasions last year where our voices did get heard, in probably in a negative way, trying to get rid of Mr. Rule, and it worked eventually. But we don't
poor
want
Dennis,
to do that.
I should say
poor
at that
Dennis,
point.
and Dennis. But we want to be positive. I'm just looking, me personally, looking forward to next season, and a lot of people that I've spoken to over the last few months can't wait for next season. It's going to be as I say, clean slate, going to some amazing away grounds, back to old school kind of thing, and I think it's going to be an interesting sort of 10 months, really.
Yeah, I certainly think the Gellin and Inu helped, didn't they? I think it'd have been a lot. The mood might have been a lot different if neither of them two had gone.
Yeah, but I'm finding a lot more optimism amongst the supporting community.
Well, I suppose the longer it is since the last game, the more likely you are to forget what's actually happened. So,
let's see what happens on Sunday when we play Hull KR. We come home from Featherstone, cold and miserable, and going, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, that's it. Louise, thanks very much for your time, and we'll see you Thursday.
Thank you very much.